brother who starts at center. Jarvis Hayes has scored 70% of the Georgia points to tell you how big he is. And for California, Joe Shipp will be matched up with Jarvis. Shipp is likewise carrying the load. He's averaging nearly 25 a game and has had 2 games already out of their 3 where he has scored 30-plus points. And coming back to Southern California, Jim Herrick, of course, had some great years at UCLA. 4th year, 50 and 48. 22 years, he's won 451 games and the title in '95 with UCLA. And this is Ben Braun, 7th year, 121 victories at Cal. 26th year coaching, a wonderful soft-spoken man who has a great deal of poise, and his teams reflect that. And Ben Braun said he got a lot of that inspiration from John Wooden.
I was telling Coach Wooden today I was very fortunate, but when I grew up playing basketball, and this is back in the 60s, I really, in high school, I remember our team used to get together and watch UCLA and Coach Wooden's teams, and it was really quite a lesson for us all. So it's, I think every basketball fan, aficionado, somebody purist certainly knows who John Wooden is and what he espouses. Ben
Braun, there you see on the left, who said he would have been a big star had he been about a foot taller, James. He talks about John Wooden. You and I spent a wonderful evening at the dinner last night with John Wooden, and I know that you have some really emotional feelings about him also.
Well, you know, he really set the standard for all the coaches to follow. And, you know, growing up on the East Coast, we watched Kentucky, we watched North Carolina. We're thinking Dean Smith and you know, some of the coaches back on the East Coast. And then you hear John Wooden and what he's done. And not only what he's done on the court, but what he's done with young men and maximizing their potential, you know, after they leave the university. He set the standard for that, and it was just great to be with him last night. And also the host, Bob, you did a great job last night. That was a lot of fun.
emceeing that dinner is one of the pleasures that I've had. This is my 5th year to be out here at the Wooden Tournament. Our officials are Tom Harrington, Bill Kennedy, and Mike Reed. And this ball game is underway. The man with the ball, we've been talking about Joe Shipp, wears number 34. Here is A.J. Diggs, only 5'9". He is lightning quick and a good defensive player despite his lack of size. That is Amit Tamir with the ball, who has gotten it back to Diggs.
Well, Georgia, you know, they play in a little matchup zone. It looks like they're disguising the man-to-man and trying to keep him from getting high percentage shots, but that one was the highest of percentage shot by Hughes.
Yeah, Gabriel Hughes, 6'10" center. He shot 70% field goal percentage last year, and he got that miss back into the hoop from A.J. Diggs, and it's 2-0 California. This is Jarvis Hayes to the point guard, Rashad Wright. Excuse me, James.
Hughes has a lot of energy for Cal on the offensive board in particular.
And Hayes misses from long range. Rashad Wright comes up with it. He also misses. Rebound, Tamir.
Both teams looking for somewhat of a up-tempo game, as we mentioned in the opening of the show, Bob. Neither one really having the presence on the inside, so it'll be interesting to see how they get the ball off the board and get going in the transition game.
Brian Weathers called for the travel for California, their first turnover of the day. And Cal has been kind of interesting with turnovers. They've had a couple of games where they only had 4 or 5, then one game 25. So that'll have a great deal to do with this game about how California takes care of the ball today.
And when you're, you know, when you're experimenting with players and you're not as experienced, turnovers really can't happen.
Well, A.J. Diggs almost had a turnover there with a steal over on the far side of the court from us, but stepped out of bounds. So Georgia will retain possession. We have about a minute and a half gone in this game number 1 from the Anaheim Pond, the 9th annual John Wooden Classic. Georgia yet to score. California with a tip-in basket from Hughes. Rashad Wright is an excellent playmaker for Georgia, unheralded point guard, number 3 with the ball now.
Well, he's very uncanny. You know, he has a great assist turnover ratio. He doesn't turn it over very much, and he sets his teammates up, keeps them calm, and is contagious, as you just saw, Bob.
Yeah, and there was a great pass from Ezra Wright, known, of course, as a shooter, as Georgia applies this half-court trap right off against California after the made basket, and he made that pass inside to Jonas Hayes. There's a 3 from Joe Shipp. We'll probably see several of those. Shipp averaging nearly 25 a game for the Golden Bears.
And if Georgia's going to spread the court open defensively, they have to find Shipp. They can't leave him open on the perimeter as they're roaming and rotating, because he doesn't need much airspace and he's very quick.
Yep. Going to the free throw line will be Chris Daniels. He was fouled by Hughes. Chris Daniels, number 50 for Georgia, is playing the role of a center. There's Hughes with that nice pass from Ezra Wright to get the basket. And Chris Daniels is 6'7". Georgia is the tallest player on the team is 6'8". And James, I thought this was interesting on the Georgia roster. They don't even have a center listed.
But you know, as you mentioned, Chris Daniels, he's a junior. He plays like a center, had 12 rebounds versus Colorado. And, you know, it takes effort to rebound. And when you don't have tall bodies, you have to have your quickness and your athleticism to go in and get some rebounds. And that's exactly what Chris Daniels produces for the Georgia Bulldogs.
5-3 Golden Bears, 17:39, go first half. Here's Diggs with a penetration, interior pass. Very well done as he slips it inside to Gabriel Hughes.
Good penetration, pass and kick. We watched A.J. Diggs in practice, very animated, loves to pass to his teammates after penetrating inside the paint.
Trying to get it to Hayes on a curl. Ezra Wright couldn't. Back to Rashad Wright.
One thing about the Golden Bears, they don't mind switching, and sometimes they get in trouble just like that. When they're switching, they leave one man open under the basket.
And the ball nearly stolen by Rashad Wright. That was excellent interior passing for the Georgia Bulldogs, and we now have a 7-5 game Golden Bears as we look at that again.
Great interior passing underneath, the double team coming over, and you're going to find Jonas Hayes underneath.
Weathers with a pump fake and a 14-footer. You said at the opening, Brian Weathers, a senior, is averaging 55% from the floor in terms of percentage, is a pure scorer.
And he's a creator, meaning that, you know, you can't really guard him because he can create his own shot off the dribble.
Interior passing went awry for the Bulldogs this time. The ball gets out of bounds. Georgia has 17 seconds on the shot clock, and the Golden Bears reacted. They are leading 9-4 over the Bulldogs.
Golden Bears doing a lot of switching, and the Georgia Bulldogs are doing a pretty good job of finding the open areas, finding the gaps. That's been very important for Georgia thus far.
Rashad Wright, team leader in assists, gets it over on the left side. As you see, it's going to be tough for an open shot from Jarvis Hayes. He tried to feed the post, stripped away by the Golden Bears, leading 9-5 on the break. Here's A.J. Diggs, wanted to pull up, but Daniels stepped out in front of the 5'9" point guard. And they'll move the ball around to Gerald Hughes, back to Joe Shipp. Good ball movement, James.
It is. They like to set a lot of down picks on the perimeter too. Pass and pick away.
And that was Amit Tamir. He's 6'10". He's from Jerusalem, Israel, but he does have a good outside perimeter game like so many of the international players. Daniels with the offside rebound and the putback, Chris Daniels.
That's going to be a problem for the Golden Bears because Georgia, even though they don't have the size, they do attack the boards.
And they're going to call that foul on Hughes, and that will be his second personal of this game. That'll be significant for the Golden Bears. 15:43 to go in the first half. California 9, Georgia 7. Bears leading by 2 here in the first game of our doubleheader today at the 9th annual Wooden Classic. Jarvis Hayes of Georgia is a spectacular highlight type player, but he also is very sound in fundamentals.
Well, fundamentals is a big part of playing basketball. It's not all about running and jumping. It's about handling the ball, passing the ball, and being able to shoot the ball. You know, and coming out of high school, I tried to shoot the ball a little bit. I wasn't into all the dunking and things. I can do them, but I try, you know what I'm saying, like to work on the fundamental part of the game.
And James Worthy is one of the NBA's top 50 players, MVPs in the Final Four, and could go on in the NBA Finals. What's your view as a forward on this forward?
Well, you know, I love to hear Jarvis Hayes talk about fundamentals and sound play because so many young players are listening to that and they need to get back to the fundamentals. Too many players want to dunk and shoot the three, and they're really cheating themselves out of being a complete player, as Jarvis Hayes is.
Look at Georgia's interior passing, but also the defense of the 5'9" A.J. Diggs. Wow.
Well, Georgia has found a way somehow to penetrate inside it. You see Ezra Williams going inside and then finding Chris Daniels underneath. But A.J. Diggs, what an appropriate name, because as a defensive player, you want to dig a lot. And he has a tendency to get his hands on that basketball a lot. Unfortunately, that time it was for a foul.
And he's one of these players who said he rests a little on offense because he expends so much energy on defense. He is a former walk-on player. He blocked big 6'7" Chris Daniels shot, and Chris misses his second free throw of this ball game, and it is still 9-7 Golden Bears. Georgia lost to Texas up in the Coaches Against Cancer tournament to open the season, and lost to Georgia Tech, lost to Minnesota. They've lost 3 games by a total of 15 points. And the Bulldogs, Ezra Williams with the steal and the pass back on the break, and it is a 9-9 game.
Well, your defense will definitely dictate your offense, and the Georgia Bulldogs are doing an excellent job building this game on Ship. They're trailing him on his down screens, and they're not allowing anything on the interior. Another turnover. Good
example of that is the collapse on Amit Tamir, and that is a 3 attempted by Jarvis Hayes out of bounds off California. It'll be Georgia ball. 14:47 to go in the first half from the pond in Anaheim. 9-9 California and Georgia. Our second game coming up on many of these stations will be Southern California versus 15th ranked Missouri.
So far, excuse me, Bob. So far, the Georgia Bulldogs are controlling the tempo, and also they're getting the higher percentage shots. The Golden Bears are going to have to find a way to get the ball inside, maybe to Amit Tamir. He's a great trigger man from the post.
Tamir, who is only a sophomore, had 3 years in the Israeli Army before coming into college basketball. So even though he's a sophomore, he's mature, and he is at 6'10". Stripped away by Diggs, but first a whistle, and that'll be a foul on AJ. Actually, that goes the other way, and the foul is going to be on Daniels, Chris Daniels of Georgia.
Yeah, there was a player at Wake Forest called Muggsy Bogues who reminds me of A.J. Diggs. He's always around the ball like a little mosquito. You just can't get rid of it. Everywhere that ball is on the floor, A.J. Diggs is going to be around it.
A couple of substitutions for Cal. Midgley is in, and taking the perimeter shot is Chris Famulaner. That was close. It's Famulaner, as James said. Famulaner is a junior from Walnut Creek, California.
Well, he's learned the ropes. He's really worked on his game, went up to Pete Newell's big man camp and worked on the fundamentals. So we're expecting a little bit more contribution from Famulaner this year.
Here is Joe Shipp. It is 12-11 Golden Bears. The jumper is missed. Scramble for the rebound and a foul. Oh, they're going to call a travel on the floor. It belonged to the Golden Bears as Ezra Williams rolled over with that ball in his possession. Wholesale subs for the University of Georgia. We'll get to them as we go through this. Mike Dean was number 2 who steps in. Mike Dean, one of the team's most improved players, will come in at the guard position. Daniels stays on the floor. We also see Damian Wilkins on the floor for the first time for Georgia. He wears number 12. And of course, yes, that is out of the famous Wilkins family. That tip in by Tamir, but first a personal foul on Tamir coming over the back, and one of the officials just got poked in the eye. Let's see if he's all right. Yeah, he is. Easy for me to say.
Well, you know, pretty soon the referees are going to have to start wearing goggles as well as we take a look at Damian Wilkins. Now, I played against both of his brothers at the next level, but against Dominique Wilkins when he was a student at the University of Georgia. And I got to tell you, he was really a human highlight film and probably the best dunker I've ever seen. Forget Michael Jordan. Dominique Wilkins could dunk.
Brian Weathers with the steal for California goes coast to coast, and now Georgia turns it over on the inbound play. The Cal Golden Bears lead at 14-11, and they'll get the ball back again. Take a look at this steal from Weathers.
Well, the Golden Bears were able to capitalize on the substitution. The substitution that Coach Jim Herrick made with some fresh players, and they were able to get in the passing lane. And that's what the Golden Bears are going to have to do. They're going to have to get some steals and get this game in an up-tempo style because they're not getting too many high percentage shots. However,
that's usually high percentage.
It's like a layup sometimes.
Yeah, Joe Shipp missing that time. 14-11 Golden Bears. Here's Damian Wilkins. Tried the hard pass to Dean off his hands out of bounds. And that will be the 6th turnover of this game so far for Georgia. There have been 4. by California. We said at the beginning of this game, these are two teams who like to scramble it. They don't have that big post presence, and they are out pressuring you on the defensive perimeter.
They like to pressure on defense. They like to get steals, get out and get some easy buckets, and they also like to get up opportunities. If they have a chance to shoot, they figure if they get up more shots, they'll take their chances on knocking down someone, as opposed to trying to set up and get inside when they don't have that.
Here is Dean with the ball, trying to penetrate. Midgley defending, Dean missing. Stripped away from Damian Wilkins, and Richard Midgley handling the ball. He's number 15. Midgley was born in Burgess Hills, England, which is near Brighton. Played basketball at Modesto Christian High School. He's only a freshman.
And Midgley's playing time kind of depends on the matchup of the other teams. If they're small, like Georgia is presenting right now, Midgley is very effective, particularly from behind the arc. But usually he's a problem because of the matchup when he plays bigger and taller players.
Georgia tried to get it into the post again. It's out of bounds, and that'll still remain Georgia's ball. And we'll be back after this timeout. The Golden Bears 14, the Bulldogs 11. 70 degrees here in Anaheim, California. This weather just driving me crazy. 70 degrees, 50 low, over and over and over again, James. I don't know.
And I talked to my dad, who lives near Charlotte, North Carolina, and they're really still experiencing a little freeze over.
Yeah, well, come on out. 70 degrees, Southern California, and this Orange County area we just love. That's the site of the Wooden Classic every year, the 9th annual now. Georgia ball after it was kicked by California. The Golden Bears leading 14-11.
Golden Bears have gone back into a zone trying to protect the interior. The Georgia Bulldogs did a great job the first 10 minutes getting inside the defense. So the zone should slow it down a little bit. However, they got a good shot there on the miss.
Yeah, Dean pulled up with the stop and hop shot, missed it. Rebound goes to David Paris, 55, who's the big man in the middle for the Golden Bears right now. His dad, Bubba Paris, played for the San Francisco 49ers. Downside, he's 6'8", I mean, he's tall enough, but he's also a wide body, as you see.
And very strong and has the capability of having some huge rebound range.
Good interior defense again on Georgia. They got the ball inside. The Bulldogs stripped it away. 30 seconds on this clock, meaning Georgia getting away a very quick shot, and that was Richard Wehunt, number 40 for Georgia. He's a senior. He only plays 3-4 minutes a game, had 7 minutes against Colorado. He gets his triple there, and it's answered by Brian Weathers.
Well, Brian Weathers, you don't want him to get warmed up. We talked a lot about Joe Shipp, but Brian Weathers, the best athlete on the Golden Bears team, to really get the job done in open court. So they need to get the tempo going in order to take advantage of his play.
Here is Arnold for Georgia. Going into the post again. Look at that zone collapse on Darian Wilkins. Spinning and turning, a little bit reminiscent of his dad, Gerald. Put back by Georgia, and the foul.
Well, the Bulldogs, they do a good job of attacking the offensive board. They do a good job of working the basketball around and getting it inside to Damian Wilkins. And then on the miss, look at the weak side. None of the Golden Bears are doing a good job of getting over there, and Hayes was able to get inside for Muehlner for the offensive board.
And Jonas Hayes, the unheralded of the Hayes twins. Jarvis with a lot more pub. Jonas also a junior. They're twins. Jarvis is about, I think they said, 8 minutes older than Jonas, so he is the senior of that pair of twins. And Jonas hit an incredible lean-in bank shot, throw up a prayer shot to beat Colorado before coming out here to California, that the Georgia team has been talking about all week long. And as Jim Herrick said, it's the luckiest shot he's seen in his entire career of coaching.
he took it, though.
Yes, he did. Didn't give it back. That was Amit Tamir, by the way, on the other end as this ball rolls right over here to big game James Worthy. James, you could just launch it here or hit Michael Cooper or Byron Scott or
the
big man or Magic. Or
that was then. You know, today I probably could give a strong, hard 5 fouls for any coach at the college level. I can foul somebody.
It's been great watching these kids as they look up to you. Coming over to talk to you as we talked to them and hung around here all day yesterday at the practices. Here is Bond, number 30, tries and makes the three. Eric Bond is a freshman out of Seattle, Washington. Was the prep player of the year there. 22-20. Game getting up and down the floor pretty quickly now.
They're starting to heat up a little bit. Bond coming in with his sweet stroke. Red shirt coming back from an ankle injury.
Tamir at 6'10" is going to try the three.
He can hit that shot. He's a great passer and also has a very nice stroke from the outside.
Tamir stepping out on Darian Wilkins. I should say Damian Wilkins. Don't know why I'm thinking about Darren. Damian, the son of Gerald Wilkins, the nephew of Dominique Wilkins. Here is Joe Shipp. This is his three. Out of bounds off Cal. It'll be Georgia ball as we have some more substitutions. It was very unusual for Jim Herrick. He made a wholesale substitution there early in the ball game with 4 players coming in for the starters, and now he's going to reverse that and get the starters back on the floor for Georgia as they trail 25-22.
Yeah, Coach Jim Herrick mentioned to us yesterday that doing these non-conference games early in the season, he really likes to, in addition to the tough schedule that he has, he really likes to take a look at players so he can see where he has to teach, you know, so that when he gets into conference play, he's ready. As we see another super sweet jumper by Hayes.
Yeah, Hayes has the whole game, and it was great hearing him talk about the fundamentals. He said he just shot too much when he was younger. Now he waits for his opportunity, and Tamir gets it inside and draws the foul for a 3-point opportunity. And speaking of Jarvis Hayes, Jarvis just hit his first bucket of the ball game a moment ago.
And this is where the 22-year-old experience comes into play for Amit Tamir, because the little pump fake inside, not really played like a big man, but has some tendencies and great footwork inside the paint.
Struggling from the free throw line, only shooting 46%. However, 7:35 to go in the first half. 3-point Golden Bears lead. They've led most of the way. Jarvis Hayes over Joe Shipp. That's a 3 from Jarvis. Just like that, he did not have a field goal until the one last possession. Comes back and adds to that with his triple.
And I'll tell you one thing, he's been guarding Joe Shipp as well, and I guarantee you the intensity and the effort that he has on the defensive end has really allowed his offensive game to flow. He's really done a great job on Shipp, shadowing him on defense.
An inside-out play there as the ball got into the post to Rod Benson, back out to Amit Tamir, who now has double digits. By the way, he's averaging double-double this year in rebounds and in points. He has 10 early here. It's still a 3-point game.
And you really have to guard Tamir from behind the arc, shooting 45% from behind the 3-point line thus far.
Ezra Williams penetrating inside. Look at Damian Wilkins, got it back out, and Jonas Hayes took the jumper, thought he had it. Off Georgia, it'll be California ball with the Golden Bears leading by 3. 6:38 to go in the first half. And we have a timeout on the floor. The Golden Bears have led most of the way, but it's been close most of the way as it is now. Amit Tamir, the Israeli player who has 10. We talked to Ben Brown about the possible distractions because Amit's family is in Jerusalem with all the strife that's happening in that region.
Well, it's always tough because the Middle East is so volatile, and you know, Amit's just a regular guy. He's a college student, happens to be a very good basketball player. He's a very sensitive young man who cares deeply not just about Israel but his region back there, because it's really a war-torn region, and it's an area that needs to get better. So I do worry about Amit. I worry about his family, and I think it's something certainly that goes through his mind from time to time. But I know he's able to stay in touch with his family, and that's very, very important.
Amit Tamir and Cal known, and Ben Braun known, James, for their international flavor.
Well, you know, the thing about international players, too, is that they are fundamentally sound. They don't really have the talent to play against every day. They're not into the big 3-point shots and the dunks. So their footwork, their passing, their fundamentals, and that's what we see in Amit Tamir. He's an outstanding passer, leading his team with 15 assists thus far this year, prior to this game, and also a great trigger man from the post.
Nice curl, but Eric Bond missed, then came back with the loose ball. Back out to Amit Tamir, who hits another triple, and that's 13 for Amit. And speaking of international, Our games today are being carried by Armed Forces Network all around the world. 180 countries, 200 ships at sea. And I just want to say on behalf of all of us, we are proud to have you with us. That's the first basket of the day for A.J. Diggs. I wanted to tell all our men and women in the armed forces we are standing behind you and appreciating your service in these troubled times.
Absolutely. We're glad to bring this game to you.
Cal now up by 8. They are on an 8-0 run.
Well, out of that break, they really had a conversation about what they were going to do defensively, and they picked it up. A.J. Diggs doing a good job of pressuring the ball. Everyone is collapsing on the interior now, forcing the Bulldogs to a perimeter setting.
That ball went off the Cal Golden Bears, but Georgia has only 5 seconds on the shot clock. Georgia again trying that interior passing, but Cal sagging in and taking that part of the game away from the Bulldogs. 5 seconds to shoot on the inbound.
Yeah, Georgia was doing a good job early in the game. Now the Golden Bears have corrected that problem and making it very tough to get off good shots, as that one was a tough shot with a hand in the face.
Yeah. Rashad Wright shooting it over A.J. Diggs at the buzzer. It would have counted. Here's Brian Weathers. A.J. into Gerald Hughes. Hughes had the first 2 baskets of this ball game. Been quiet since. Weathers looking for Tamir. Now Georgia with some excellent on-the-ball defense. Shot clock down to 6 seconds.
Not a lot of passing, not a lot of picks in that possession, and as a result, not a good shot.
And that ball never hit the rim, and we've got a shot clock violation, a turnover from California. And we said at the beginning, James, or you did actually, about this team. These teams have tremendous one-on-one defenders. We're just seeing some examples of it.
Well, you're not going to get much done on either side of the court against Georgia or against the Golden Bears if you're just trying to get individual play. You must set some picks. It seems like the California Golden Bears aren't doing that now that Shipp is out of the game. They set a lot more picks for Joe Shipp. Maybe they should try to get Brian Weathers into the mix with some picks along with Tamir.
Wright with the basket. 35-29. Weathers being defended by Jarvis Hayes. Wright stripped it. Ezra Wright, actually it was, yeah, Rashad Wright stripped it and then led the break.
Well, once again, you know, you're not going to get anything off the dribble if you're not setting picks or moving or cutting or slicing. That was a good effort by Tamir to go back door, but the Georgia Bulldogs are just too quick reacting defensively.
Rashad Wright with an excellent play there. This is Rashad with the ball. Where's number 3 for Georgia? We are inside 4 minutes in the first half from the pond in Anaheim, California. The pass inside to Damian Wilkins, and he is fouled. So Ezra Williams with a nice pass inside to teammate Damian Wilkins. And Damian, the story, the foul on Tamir, the story on Damian, he probably are familiar with this. Damian played his first 2 years at North Carolina State University, where he averaged 11 points, 32 minutes a game, transferred, set out last year, and now he is getting his first action for Georgia. He can play 3 different positions. Sometimes he even comes in at the point guard position, but it'll be interesting, James, to see how Jim Herrick can work Damian Wilkins into this lineup.
Well, they've tried Damian Wilkins at every position thus far this season. He's so agile and such an athlete. You look at his body, you know, he could be a tight end on a football team or an outfielder on a baseball team, just like his father and his uncle, Gerald and Dominique, respectively. Just a great body and great leaping ability.
Weathers misses the shot. The ball will belong to Georgia. 35-30. Bears had led by 8. Now they lead by 5. Thank you, Darren. 35-30 California here with 3:39 remaining in the first half. The Golden Bears have led most of the way. I believe all of the way, as a matter of fact. Richard Midgley defending the ball. This is Jarvis Hayes. His brother, the less heralded Jonas, has outscored him so far 9 points to 5 in this first half of play. Ezra Williams from the wing. Count it. That's a triple, and we now have a 2-point ball game.
Just great ball movement out of the timeout by Georgia, and that's what you want to see. You want to accomplish something when you come out of that timeout. Golden Bears have done a good job of collapsing. Georgia comes out, good swing to the opposite side of the court, Ezra Williams, who can dominate a game if he gets going, knocks down the 2.
I'm counting 8, 9, sometimes 10 passes in each possession here for these teams. Midgley spinning into the middle, ball stripped away, and Georgia came away with it. This is Ezra Williams on the break. They have the numbers, do the Bulldogs. To Jarvis Hayes, it rattles in and out over the back. It'll be California ball. Jarvis struggling here scoring-wise early in this game. Jarvis is the leading scorer for Georgia. He had 14 points versus Colorado. Last year led the SEC in scoring too at 18.5 a game. 2-point Cal Bears lead.
And speaking of Jarvis Hayes, he usually plays well on the road. Last year averaging 22 points in the 8 SEC roadie. So he's not afraid of neutral sites or being on the road.
Here is Tamir turning around at the baseline jumper. It won't fall. Tamir was too close. He has 3 threes. He's more comfortable from about 20 feet away.
Sometimes you find those 6'11", 7-foot guys that have the small forward 2-guard mentality. They want to shoot the jumper outside. They get inside and they don't know what to do with it.
Sam Perkins.
Sam Perkins, a la Sam Perkins.
What a great team. What was that, 82? Michael Jordan freshman.
Yeah.
You were a junior.
I was a teacher. I taught them all.
Yeah, good.
Sam, MJ, and now the head coach at North Carolina, Matt Doherty, was on that team as well.
Georgia has now tied the ball game. Wilkins has 3 points. Minute 45 to go in the half. And Cal has not scored in the last 3.5 minutes. Look at that double team. Pass inside. Brian Weathers draws the foul. Won't get the 3-point opportunity, but a chance to break the scoring drought for Cal.
And Georgia has found a lineup that they can work with defensively. They have some quick guys out there. As you see, Georgia collapsing on the defense. Barely got that one off and the foul, but the Georgia Bulldogs are really collapsing. They're rotating. They're switching with the lineup that they have on the floor right now.
Weathers now 2 out of 3 from the line. His 8th point. Brian averages 15 points and nearly 7 rebounds a game. He's from Murrieta, California.
He's their Mr. Do-It-All. Whatever's needed, rebounding, he can do that. They need some scoring, he can do that. When they need a defender, Brian Weathers does that. So it's good to have a all-around player on your roster.
Yeah, both of these teams are blessed with several all-around players. There's Rashad Wright looking to feed the post, and Damian Williams. Damian pushed away from Brian Weathers in order to get that entry pass, and he'll be called for the foul, with the Bears leading by 1.
Well, you see, Damian Wilkins just a little bit advanced in his post-up moves, because you know who he's been playing against all his life. He's been playing against Gerald Wilkins, who spent many years in the NBA, and Dominique Wilkins, who I blame for shortening my NBA career, having to guard him when he was down in Atlanta, and also playing against him when he was a Georgia Bulldog.
The pull-up jumper won't fall, and we have a foul. It's going to be on Diggs. Minute 4 to go in the first half. You were talking about you had to defend Dominique Wilkins, but you know, Dominique had to defend you too. So some of your career scoring average you have to.
Yeah, I guess I shortened his career a little bit too, but it was mutual.
Dominique Wilkins, James Worthy, man, some great matchups. I was telling James just yesterday about the great memories of that Lakers Showtime team. Magic Johnson, Worthy on the wing, Cooper and Scott spotting up, and the big man Kareem following on the break. What great days back in the middle 80s in Los Angeles. 36-35 Cal, now under a minute, and we have a timeout on the floor with the Golden Bears leading it by 1. And both of these teams have been scrambling the play. Once again, they're not teams that can feed that post the way they want to, simply because they don't have those big post-up players. Georgia is going to get better in the post around December 17th if their center, the man who they hope to be their center, Steve Thomas, can get on the squad academically. Looking at the Cal players, Ben Braun talking to his players right now, and Ben Braun says he, has formed a lot of his coaching philosophy because of the man of whom this tournament is named, John Wooden. There's a quote. All the coaches have an interesting Yesterday at a news conference for the coaches, each one of them had a quotation off the top of their head. Their favorite Wooden quote, and this one was Ben Braun's: "Make every day your masterpiece." John Wooden, by the way, has a new book out. I have 4 copies in front of me. I bought 4 copies at a charity last night to make his Christmas gifts. It's called Wooden, A Lifetime of Observations and Reflections on and off the Court. You want to talk about something inspirational, whether you're into basketball or not, doesn't even matter. It was written by Steve Jameson, who was his co-writer. There is the book right there. And I have an autographed copy of that, and don't think I won't treasure that forever. That will go with my autographed copy of a book from Red Auerbach, guru of the NBA. And there's John Wooden. He's 92, soon to be 93. Yesterday, he was up at 7 o'clock in the morning over here for a 11 a.m. clinic at the Pond for Special Olympics Southern California, the charity of this Wooden Classic. Spent most of the day being interviewed. I interviewed him earlier yesterday. We'll have that on the air sometime later today. Then last night, the John Wooden Special Olympics banquet. He was there till 11 o'clock, and he's 92, and he was in fine form at the end of that. What energy the man has. Great condition. Jarvis Hayes with the triple from the corner, and it's now tied at 38, and Jarvis has 8 with 26 seconds to go in the half. Richard Midgley defended by Wright. This is from Ullander. Shot of the game clock down to 13 seconds now. Brian Weathers. Georgia on that man-to-man defense. They are playing tight. Now down to 8 seconds. Weathers is going to try the drive. Nowhere to go, but he feeds to Mir. It won't fall. Georgia has a chance for a shot. Damian Wilkins misses it, and that is the end of the half, and it couldn't be closer. 38-38. Exciting game here in game number 1 between the Georgia Bulldogs and the Cal Golden Bears. Teams with extremely agile and talented athletic players showing us what they can do here, and they're getting good balance all the way around for both of the teams, and some exciting basketball. They're also playing some very tough defense. And now James Worthy, just like that, has gone over, and he has Jim Herrick of the Georgia Bulldogs.
Coach, it was close in the first.
Monday, but hope we can just generate enough energy to come out here and get some stops and run our offense and do some good things. Really a pretty good game, pretty 2 even match teams.
Okay, we're going to have a little.
Some early substitution early on. You brought in 3 or 4 guys off the bench at one time. Is that your style?
I'm looking for one of those guys to step up and say to me, I want to play more, and I can't get one of them to do that, so I'm going to give them all a chance. It's December, and that's what I do.
All right, good luck in the second half, Coach.
All right, that's interesting explanation. He wants somebody to step up. Now it is halftime. Cal 38, Georgia 38. Let's go back to Darren Horton in our studio for a look at what's coming up at the half in the KCAL 9 studios. Darren.
Thanks.
Let's go to James Worthy now, who's with Ben Braun.
Coach, pretty even first half. What do you got to do in the second half to correct this?
Well, I think number 1, we've got to get some of our guys, Brian Weathers, Joe Shipp, got to get to the foul line a little bit more. I thought Georgia did a good job of taking those guys out. So if we can come back and play aggressive with those guys, get more involved, that's going to help us. And also get out to a couple of the 3-point shooters. They found the range.
Good luck in the second half.
Thanks, James.
There, Ben Braun and his story of that first half of play. And Cal fell in the range, too. Cal was 7 of 13, 54% from three-point land. Georgia got their 5. 3 of those came late. Georgia 5 of 10 as we're underway here. And a turnover from the Bulldogs to start this second half.
Well, it looks like the Golden Bears are not only going to try to pick up the tempo, but as Coach Braun said, they really need to find a way to free up their prolific scorer and Joe Shipp.
A.J. Diggs. Joe Shipp trying to get freed up there. Shoots an air ball. Rebound Chris Daniels. Stripped loose, but it's gathered in by Rashad Wright. Quickly ahead, Ezra Williams. Cutting down the middle to Daniels. Gets it inside. What a play by Georgia to Jonas Hayes, who now leads all Georgia scorers. That's Jonas, not Jarvis, with 11.
And the transition defense for the Golden Bears is not good. The Bulldogs are able to not only get the perimeter shot, but they're penetrating within that interior, and they're getting some easy buckets very quickly.
Hughes turns around, misses his short jump shot. It is out off Cal, and it will be Georgia ball as Georgia has their first lead of the game. Let's take a look at the KFC halftime stats. We were talking about the field goal percentage of Georgia with 52%, 5 threes for Georgia, 7 for Cal in the first half. Here is Jonas Hayes. Look out, Jarvis. Take a back seat.
Well, the identical twins is paying off for the Georgia Bulldogs. But they do such a great job of backing the defense down. The Golden Bears can't seem to keep the Bulldogs from penetrating, really backing the defense down. Here's again, Wright getting inside immediately.
To Ezra Williams, who knocks down a 3, and Georgia took their first lead of this entire game at 40-38 at the beginning of this half, and now just like that, Georgia leads 45-38 in California. Watson gets a timeout just a minute and a half into the first half. So we're going to go to a break here. We'll be back in just a moment to the Pond in Anaheim, California, the 9th annual Wooden Classic. Post-half interview, the Bulldogs started finding the range. Georgia on an 18-3 run going back to the first half at that 4:40 mark when Georgia started turning it around.
Well, the Golden Bears are only getting one opportunity on the offensive end, and Georgia is getting the rebound, and they're off and running, backing the Golden Bears defense back, and they're getting some good shots, some good cuts to the basket, and they're also getting some perimeter shots.
And Jonas Hayes, 13.6 of 8 from the floor. I think he got hot after he hit that miracle prayer bank shot at the buzzer to beat Colorado last Wednesday.
Hey, sometimes all it takes is that one shot. Gives you all the confidence you need for the rest of the season.
Weathers with a tough drive, double pump bank shot, and Brian Weathers makes it 45-40 Georgia, and Weathers has double digits now. That's his 10th points.
Well, until Mr. Ship comes alive, Weathers is the guy that must penetrate and create off the dribble, get inside. They need to get to the foul line. They need to make something happen at the foul line and off the dribble.
Ezra Williams to Jarvis. Georgia moving this ball inside to Daniels. And Daniels had faced some good defense from Hughes and loses the ball. Here's A.J. Diggs, 45-40 Georgia. Diggs left wide open. Cannot do it for A.J. Diggs.
Not really his forte as an offensive player, but when you're at the free throw line, 15 feet, nobody on you, you got to knock that one down.
I said earlier in the first half, he says he rests on offense because he's so intense on defense. So that time he had to work a little bit, a little 13-footer.
How often do you hear that from a player? Usually,
never.
You know, most players at all levels rest on defense. To hear a player say, look, I'm going to take a rest on offense, I don't want to score, that's something else.
Jarvis Hayes with the double dribble, and Jarvis will turn it over to California. Georgia leading it by 3. There is Jim Herrick, won a national title with UCLA in 1995. Led the Bulldogs to 22 wins last year till they lost to Southern Illinois in the second round of the NCAAs by 2 points.
1979, before the NCAA changed what they called then the bump rule, where coaches could recruit, they could just be in the same vicinity and bump into you. I had a bump in with Jim Herrick in my hometown.
Tamir with 3, a bump in.
Yeah, it was the bump rule, meaning, you know, that there were restrictions on how many visits you could have. But if you just so happen to be at the mall, and, you know, there's also the coach from Hawaii and Gastonia, North Carolina, happens to be shopping at the same time, he could bump into you and it'd be an unofficial visit.
Chris Daniels gets the bounce pass from Ezra Wright and draws the foul as he penetrates. I love that. That takes me back some. I'd forgotten about the bump rule. So,
yeah.
So Jim was just touring Gastonia.
He was just in my neighborhood on my street, and happened to end up on my my front porch. And as I was coming out, he happened to bump right into me there. And gave me some directions to where to go. And
he was probably giving you some directions also.
Right? Yeah, he was telling me how to get to California. I did visit UCLA.
Well, you know what? It'd be tough to turn down UCLA unless you're recruited by Dean Smith in North Carolina.
It was a given.
Cal was on a 7-0 run until that free throw, and that gives the Bulldogs the lead once again, 46-45. So after the timeout, Ben Braun got his team back in this ball game. Georgia was on an 18-3 run until then, going back to the first half. Now Cal back in the game. Bulldogs lead it by 2.
Well, Cal has had to get some help from Amit Tamir. Weathers is starting to pick it up, but this is the player that has to get the job done. And right now, he's really trying to force the issue. He's not letting the game come to him. He needs to be playing some defense, getting some offensive boards. He's trying to force some shots. Meanwhile, the Bulldogs are just running their offense to perfection.
Jonas Hayes now has 15 as he got it down low on the post. Jonas is a big man, 6'8", 240. Ezra Williams. Jonas lays it in for 15 points, and he'll go to the line.
And look how the Georgia Bulldogs are passing the ball up. They're making that 40-foot pass, which really gets you in front of the defense and allows you to post up quicker before the defense can get adjusted. And that is just smart basketball. They're not waiting to set up. They're taking advantage of the early offense.
Amit Tamir with a nice cross-court pass to A.J. Diggs, who hits the three. 2-point Georgia lead, 50-48. We are 4 minutes and 15 seconds into the second half. In the first game of the John Wooden Classic doubleheader today, our second game coming up just 15-20 minutes after this on most stations will be Southern Cal and Missouri. And we have foul on, that's the third foul, by the way, on Chris Daniels. He had 2 quick ones and not one until just then. It's 50-48 Bulldogs. Georgia's Jim Herrick had a great recruiting class last year, but the majority of those students failed academically to be able to play, and there's only one of those recruits playing on this team right now. And Jim Herrick has some very strong feelings about the preparation for college work that's put in by high school athletes.
A young guy will let his grades go in high school and leave himself no choice. But say, oh, I'm going to go in the draft on, you know, instead of saying, hey, I didn't make it academically, and so I'm going to go in the draft, and chances are that young guy hadn't prepared himself either way, and then he gets thrown by the wayside, and he chases a dream the rest of his life, which is really sad.
And James, what is it that you say to the youngsters when you tell them how tough it is to make it in the NBA?
They have a better chance of becoming an astronaut than becoming an NBA player, and it's a sad cycle that needs to be stopped. So many young players are watching what they see on TV, what they see in the news, and they're aspiring to be that. You really got to have an education, because even if you make it in sports, if you don't understand what your contract says, or if you can't balance your checkbook, you're going to be in a lot of trouble in a short career. So Jim Herrick is right. College is a place where you can go and make some mistakes and learn from them before you go to the next level.
They're going to call Joe Shipp for the foul there as he got up high to try that tip in for Cal, and he'll pick up his second personal foul. Joe Shipp really struggling in this ball game today. Joe Shipp
over the back.
1 for 5.
Over the back, Joe Shipp. Well, he's trying to do what he needs to do, and that's get some offensive boards. That's a foul that most coaches won't be upset about when it's an effort foul, but when you're forcing the issue and trying to do too much, that hurts the team.
Chris Daniels driving, nearly lost it. Jarvis Hayes back to Ezra Williams. At the top of the key, it'll rattle in. Ezra has 13 points, and Georgia shooting the ball well. They shot 50% from the floor at the half.
Well, Ezra Williams, he takes a lot of threes, too. He set a record for most threes made and taken last year, 93 of 251. So when he gets it going from the outside, he's not afraid to put it up.
Daniels to Jarvis Hayes, missing the 3. Rebound pulled down by Mulliner, and Cal comes back. Despite Cal's shooting woes, they are down only 5. Meet Tamir pounding it inside. Chris Daniels playing tough defense. The loose ball picked up, however, by Joe Shipp. There he is doing what you said again, just working. Get the garbage points any way he can. Absolutely. The intangibles is what you can do every night. You're not gonna shoot the ball well every night. You're not gonna rebound every night, but the intangibles, the steals, the deflections, the offensive boards, the effort, you can do that every night. 4 threes now. The last 3 buckets by Ezra Williams in this half. The only 3 in this half have been triples. Tamir gets it inside, tried a little baby hook shot, and he is fouled. And Amit Tamir will go to the free throw line. Amit is an adventure at the line, though. He came into this game 11 of 37 from the free throw line. He can drain threes from 20 feet, but bad at the line.
And that's amazing, because the free throw is something that, you know, it's free. There's no pressure. There's no hand in the face. You get a little time to take a little break. That was a nice stroke. But I like what Coach Braun is doing with Tamir. He's a great outside player. He's trying to establish him as a post-up player. That's why we saw that little left baby hook. Even if he hasn't, you know, developed it yet, January, February, when they get in the conference, he's going to need someone that can go inside and get them to the line. And that's what Tamir has to add to his ball game.
Once again, Jim Herrick with several substitutions. That personal foul was on Chris Daniels, and Chris now has 4. He has been playing very strong inside, so that will test Georgia. And Jim Herrick has his mass substitution. He told you about that at the half, about why he does that at this point in the season.
Yeah, he wants to find out who wants to play, particularly in these in the non-conference games early on. He wants to teach, and the only way you can find out, he made an interesting comment yesterday. He'd rather lose to Texas or Minnesota or some of the big teams where he knows what he has to work on, as opposed to blowing a team out by 40.
With the ball now, this is Wayne Arnold and Damian Wilkinson, and Damian is actually running the team from the point. Look at that block.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my.
Looked like somebody shot Joe Shipp out of a cannon to block that shot. He came from nowhere.
Mike Dean tries to launch it. What a leaper.
Well, see, when your shot's not going down and people are expecting you to score, you'll start doing some things on the other end to get yourself going.
That's a travel on Damian Wilkins. Now, that wouldn't have been a travel on Dominique in your day, would it?
Not at all. Dominique used to travel so much, we used to call him Samsonite. Take some luggage with you.
Michael traveled a bit.
Michael did.
Now, not you. I never saw it.
Never.
Worthy on the wing. One of my favorite Chick Hearn phrases.
What do we miss,
Game
Chick?
James. Yes, we do. Tamir inside. Nice pass from Muehlner, and Amit Tamir has 20.
Well, see, smart move by the Golden Bears. They're spreading the floor now. They're not concentrating so much on getting Shipp off, moving the ball around the perimeter, finding the mismatch inside with Tamir.
And Wilkins is blocked, and guess who got up to get that? Joe Shipp.
Well, he's learning how to be a leader. He's a senior. He should know how to do other things. And for the last 5 minutes, that's what he's done. And I guarantee you, Bob, that his offense is going to pick up sooner or later because of what he's doing on the defensive end and on the boards.
Here's Eric Bond to Tamir. He gets 3 drawn around him very quickly. Back out to Bond, who misses. Rebound is grabbed by Georgia and Wayne Arnold. Mike Dean tried to feed Jonas Hayes in the post, and we have a timeout. Cal. 20 points from Amit Tamir, who's averaging only 12.5 a game so far. The Bulldogs hold on to a 2-point lead.
Provided by Big Dog. Visit BigDog.com today for all of our apparel and accessories and to locate a store near you.
We're not faking those blue skies. That's how beautiful it is. We're inside the pond in Anaheim, California. The Georgia Bulldogs lead at 56-54. A lot of celebrities here, both sports and entertainment. And there is Elgin Baylor. Talk about somebody who took a first step.
Yeah, I don't remember Elgin that much, but I remember Wilt Chamberlain when he was alive talking about Elgin Baylor being, as we take a look at the general manager for the Lakers, Mitch Kupchak. But back to Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain telling me he was the first heir. Before Air Jordan and before all the popular guys that played in the air, Elgin Baylor had the serious hang time.
My great memories of the great wing, about 15-foot bank shots by Elgin Baylor. He had that dream. Muehlner gets it inside to Bond. 7 on the shot clock for Cal. Trailing by 2. Knocked away. And it'll be Cal ball by Jonas Hayes, and Cal will have 3 seconds on the shot clock as Jarvis is coming in to get his brother Jonas.
Well, Tamir had, he had great position on the post that time, but he didn't hold his base. Another Another aspect of the game he must learn as he learns how to be a better post-up player. Great drop.
Midgley all the way to the hoop, but he did not beat the buzzer. So that's a violation and a turnover, and Georgia continues to lead it by 2.
The Golden Bears has picked up their tempo a little bit on the defensive end as they found Tamir on the inside, and they're doing a pretty good job of slowing down the Bulldogs, who were getting some really good shots in the lane early in this game.
Richard Wehunt had trouble with the pass, but collected the loose ball back to Damian Wilkins. Gets the brick up there. And the loose ball comes down to from Muehliner. This is Midgley. Midgley grew up in Brighton Hills, England. Played college, high school ball, though, at Modesto, California. From the corner, Joe Shipp. That's a triple. And now Shipp coming alive. He has 8 points in the game. And at the end of the half, Joe Shipp had only 3 points, and that was a triple.
Well, you know, he's been very patient here in the second half. He's allowed and trusted his teammates to pick up the pace. He's done a good job with some of the intangibles, offensive boards, blocking shots, and his offense will come around. A lot of time left, and he can light it up in 10 minutes.
Shipp now with 8 points. Here's a look at Joe Shipp.
And that's after they had moved the ball very well from one side to the other. He's been very patient waiting over there for the swing. Good-looking kid, smart, worked out with former Cal Berkeley Lamond Murray over the summer, picked up a little weight, and just an outstanding body. Wish I had a body like that.
Joe James, you're still in Adonis. Everybody want to take a picture of it? That foul, by the way, was on Eric Bond, sending Arnold to the free throw line. And Wayne Arnold is the Georgia recruit from last year who made it academically and made it into this Georgia lineup. Wayne is a 6'4" freshman from Littleburn, Georgia. And in the first exhibition game, his first game for Georgia, he had 20 points in 20 minutes. What a start.
The point a minute man. That's what we call him. He's an offensive spark plug, a mini microwave. He can light it up.
Ah, the microwave. Vinnie Johnson. That was also during your era, the Vinnie and the Jets. Remember that bench, John Sally and Dennis Rodman. And
don't remind me about that. My arms and my shoulders, everything just started to hurt when I think of the physical bad boys.
Shipp working hard, tried to get it inside to Tamir. Out of bounds, Georgia ball. And it's Bulldogs 58-57. The Bears had the lead for just a moment on that last possession.
Well, I think they found their inside play. They're really doing a good job of looking for Tamir. That time, though, just a little mustard slipped off of the hot dog, as my good friend Chick Hearn would say.
Ezra Williams missing from the key, runs down his own rebound, and he is fouled. Brother, that looked like a hockey play there, sliding on the ice, and the foul will be called on Midgley. I want to mention this again about Chick Hearns, how much we all miss the man. There's the foul on Midgley.
They both were safe in the second there, but yeah, Chick Hearn was just he was a great announcer, Bob, and you know, you've known him longer than I have and watched him. But more importantly, he was a bridge gapper. He really had time for common folk, and just a great influencer and inspiration. He was showtime for the Lakers.
Damian Wilkins got a nice pass, couldn't shoot it, then dished it to Jarvis Hayes, who lost it. Back into the hands of Georgia. Ezra Williams missing. Follows on the rebound, and it'll go this time. That's a lot of persistence by the Bulldogs.
Well, the Bulldogs had 5 offensive rebounds in the first half, and they're starting to pick up that second and third opportunity. Golden Bears can't afford to give up more than one shot after they play some solid defense.
Ezra Williams now with 18 in this game. Foul is going to be on Jarvis Hayes. Jarvis really struggling in this game today, as is Joe Shipp. And one of the reasons, in my view, is that much of the time they're matched up against each other, and both of them very competent defensive players.
Well, when you have to expend all your energy defensively, a lot of times it does take away from your offense. And then a lot of times it kind of gets you going offensively. I think that's happened for Joe Shipp here in the second half. But for Jarvis Hayes, I think he's just allowed his brother to get the job done tonight because, as you mentioned, he's not been able to find his rhythm.
Midgley for the Cal Bears, trailing it by 3. This is Brian Weathers, leading scorer at the half for Cal. Midgley's going to take the 3. Rebound to Georgia's Jonas Hayes. And Midgley will be called for the guarding too closely foul. We have 8:20 to go in the second half here. This is the first game of a doubleheader, Georgia and Cal. Our second game coming up will be Southern Cal and 15th ranked Missouri. And I wonder which Cal team will show up, James, because Southern Cal has this year been inconsistent, but they have some talent.
They do have some talent, and they have a coach that's been there and has some experience. So when you have a coach that can think on his feet and deviate from his game plan, you have for some good basketball. But you're right, they've been inconsistent, haven't found their true identity as a team yet.
Rashad Wright picked up that offensive foul for the Bulldogs. Back to Cal, 8:10 to go in the ball game. Missouri hasn't missed a beat with the loss of Kareem Rush, who's out here with the Lakers. He's played 4 minutes the other night. He's playing a little bit.
Yeah, he's learned that complex triangle offense. I just give him an A for the rest of the season for learning that. That's a difficult thing for rookies to learn under Phil Jackson.
Damian Wilkins with some real defensive hustle, but he lost the ball out of bounds. It'll belong to Cal when we return. Neither team has scored the last couple of minutes. Georgia 60, the Golden Bears 57. Darren in Hollywood. I think that's so appropriate for Darren.
He's a Hollywood type of guy. I love working with Darren over at K-Cal. He's the man.
60-57, Georgia Bulldogs, 7:54 to go in this game. Midgley handled the ball. It was tipped by Georgia, according to the officials. Georgia disagreed. 10 on the shot clock for Cal. This is A.J. Diggs looking to make something happen. Tamir with 20 points in this game, defended by Damian Wilkins. Look at Tamir move into the paint. Couldn't get the shot to fall. Wilkins with the rebound.
Tamir handles that ball like a small forward off the dribble.
I'm impressed with the fact he can play on the outside, and then when they've asked him to, and they have in this second half, he gets on the inside.
Yeah, he's learning to be a post-up player at the beginning of this early season and doing a pretty good job of having confidence on the inside.
A.J. Diggs, it's numbers for Cal, 4 on 3. The lob broken up nicely by Jonas. I am doing it all, including selling popcorn. Hayes. His brother Jarvis misses, but Ezra Williams tips it in and now has 20.
Marginal pass by A.J. Diggs, not there, and that allowed the Georgia Bulldogs to get out in numbers.
A.J. Diggs back to the ball now, 6:50 to go in this game. Georgia 2 and 3 coming in here. Cal, the Golden Bears haven't lost a game so far. That foul's going to be on Jarvis Hayes. Let's check Jarvis' foul situation here. Jarvis, that'll be his second only. Thought he had more than that, but no. 5-point Georgia Bulldog lead.
Jarvis Hayes getting a tad frustrated because he's not able to get into the offense here in the second half, but it'll come with the continuation of the defense.
Brian Weathers on the drive. He will draw the foul.
And that's what makes Brian Withers so tough, is when he puts it on the floor, his upper body is so strong that if you don't have a charge on him, see how he creates that path, and once he gets a step and he puts the body into you, it is very difficult to defend him. They need more of him here in the last 6 minutes of this ball game.
That's second personal foul, that time on Jonas Hayes. Weathers goes to the free throw line. That's his 11th point in this game. Weathers averages 15 a game. Look at the improvement. Brian Weathers. 5'5", 8'5", 10-3, and 15. That's what you want to see. And I know the pro scouts look at it that way. They like to see somebody on the uptick coming out of college.
But it's also indicative of what you do in your off season. And you see those type of improvements. You know that a guy is not just, lagging around, not doing anything. He's working on his game, trying to improve.
6:16 to go in the game. Bulldogs by 3. Here's Damian Wilkins. Ezra Williams open at the top of the key. A rare miss for Ezra in this game as Hughes gets the rebound to A.J. Diggs, and the Cal fans here at the pond trying to get their undefeated Golden Bears back in here. What a nice pass from Tamir. Oh, that was sweet. Brian Weathers lays it in. Now has 14.
Well, Tamir has led the California Golden Bears in assists this year. He is a great trigger man. He sees the floor well. Great back cut.
And look at that rebound. We're going to have a foul on Georgia. And that's going to be on Rashad Wright. No, it's on Jonas Hayes, who's 33. That's his third.
Take a look at the sweet left-hand pass from Tamir. Reading the defense, facing the opponents. A lot of players, when they post up, they don't see the weak side. Tamir did a good job of taking a quick look, finding Brian Weathers on the cut.
As we see Amit Tamir at the line, his mother and father still living in Jerusalem. We talked to Ben Braun about the distractions and were there any because of the strife in Israel and the Middle East right now. And he said he tried not to think about it. His mother and father are very happy that Amit is here in the United States. But last month, a friend from high school was killed in a suicide bomb explosion in Jerusalem. So you know that this young man from Jerusalem and Israel is very distracted and worried about the situation there in his homeland. The Bears, thanks to those free throws, have regained the lead 63-62 over Georgia with 5:20 to go in the game.
And I think the team that's going to be successful here is the team that's going to dig down defensively and force some bad shots, as that one was by White.
Rashad was open out there, but he shoots the air ball, and the Golden Bears have the lead by one. Ben Braun over there on the far side calling the play for his Golden Bears. Georgia's been in a close game virtually every game they have played this year. Here's another one. Tamir for the triple, inside, outside, and Amit has 25. And in case you're wondering if that's a career or season high, Amit had 39 points against Oregon last year.
Well, he's a player that once he finds his stroke, and the Golden Bears are really doing an excellent job of executing. They really have been poised and patient. A.J. Diggs waiting for the down screen. There comes Tamir up for a wide open shot. Bob, he's been inside and outside and established himself as a passer. Look at him pass from the post to Weathers. Now that's just great James Naismith basketball. Nothing fancy about that, but you got to have a guy that can pull the trigger. And Amit Tamir has been all of that for the Golden Bears here in the second half.
Well, he told you that his career high 39 against Oregon last year, but in this game he has tied his career high with 5 3-pointers. Also had 5 versus Oregon in that 2002 game when he scored his 39. 66-62 count.
And you like to see guys emerge, because you know Joe Shipp is going to be consistent as the season going on. Brian Weathers, so you add Tamir to that. Now you got some nucleus.
That one won't go. Georgia tipping the rebound. Hughes kept it alive. It is ripped away by Jarvis Hayes. And we've got a foul here on Georgia. Oh, they're going to call a jump ball.
That was
I thought he got it loose, but yeah. No.
Jim Herrick expecting a little foul. He thought that Joe Shipp was a little bit aggressive on trying to get the ball away. As you see it scrambling right here is anybody's ball right there, but then Joe Shipp comes in and creates the jump ball, and the arrow is going toward the Golden Bears,
who lead by 4. 4:21 to go in this game. Boy, Tamir has just been the man. Now this time Joe Shipp trying to score, up and under, blocked by Jarvis Hayes. That's why Shipp has struggled in this game. On the break, Georgia, Jarvis Hayes left hand, counted and one.
Now that was a good exchange of defense to offense. Jarvis Hayes has done an excellent job on Joe Shipp. Great block, but then he gets out on the break. He trails the break as Wright finds Jarvis trailing, and he gets an opportunity for a 3-point play.
Jarvis Hayes with his acrobatic play. You know, he's a counselor at the Michael Jordan camp. They call it, of course, Michael Jordan's flight school, and he spent his 21st birthday there counseling at that camp this year. And it was the first time in his life that he was away from his 8-minute younger twin brother Jonas. But he was in a place, I think, having a pretty good time at the Michael Jordan flight school.
And in our interview with Jarvis yesterday, just a delightful kid. Always smiling, something positive to say. And And it was just a delight to see a young man like that.
A.J. Diggs turns it over with a travel. Georgia down 1. They'll have the ball when we come back. Our Carl's Jr. game summary now. As you see, Williams with 20, Jonas Hayes 16, Jarvis 9, and Tamir has 25, Weathers 14, and Diggs 7. But Jonas Hayes has been the man so far in this game for Georgia.
He has. He's done the job. He's been very active. He's kept them in the ball game. His brother Jarvis is doing a good job defensively, but Jonas has been the guy that has really ignited this ball club tonight. Doing a good job inside and out, being aggressive.
You know, it's very rare that a player of the game ever comes from a great defensive effort. One of the reasons, of course, except for counting steals, you don't really have any statistical support for that. But Jarvis Hayes has, for the most part, shut down Joe Shipp. And on the flip side, Joe Shipp has done that kind of job on Jarvis.
Absolutely. It would take a group of coaches, assistant coaches, to pick the most valuable player for a defensive player because of the tendencies. It's not a glamour job, and not a lot of categories on the stat sheet that's going to show how you beat a pick or how you box someone out or how you were able to play the passing lane. You don't see that in the stat sheet.
That foul is the 4th on Joe Shipp as he was out, way out in the backcourt defending Jarvis Hayes, who beat him off the dribble there. Cal leading it by 1, and now it's tied at 66. With 3:31 to go in the game, the Georgia Bulldogs find themselves in yet another nail-biter. They lost their they lost 3 games early in the season by a total of 15 points, but 2 of those by 1. And they won 1 by 1 on Wednesday at Colorado. So the Bulldogs are used to being in close games. Cal's had some wider point spreads. They've played less competition than the Bulldogs in the first part of the season.
And Jim Herrick loves this type of game in this part of the season, not in the second half of the season, but early in the season when he's teaching and he's looking for a margin to teach from. He loves to have his teams experience these type of games.
Amit Tamir with a rare 3-point miss. Bulldogs lead it by 1. Here is Jarvis being defended. He has a mismatch by A.J. Diggs, blocked by Tamir. Mueller comes down with the ball, and A.J. Diggs now brings it down. Trailing by a point are the Bears.
It is so hard for an offensive player to give up his offense and do some other things. Both Jarvis and Shipp are forcing things. Meanwhile, Tamir is just dominating the ball game right now.
27 points with that little baby hook, one of his favorite shots. It's a seesaw game, 1-point separation. Ezra Williams down, short arms it. Tamir gets it, calls a quick, intelligent timeout, and Amit Tamir has really stood out in this game. The defensive battle between Shipp and Jarvis Hayes has been interesting, but the man who stepped up offensively, Amit Tamir.
And he's doing nothing out of the ordinary. He's not trying to do more than he can do. He's staying within his game, and he's doing a very good job being productive.
2:34 to go, a 1-point game. By the way, you want to start getting your tickets to next year's John Wooden Classic. It'll be the 10th anniversary on December 6th next year. Look at these matchups. UCLA, Kentucky, Stanford, Kansas.
Calling in right now.
Wow. You can go to woodenclassic.com and download the priority order form and be the first to reserve your seats for next year. My, that's John Wooden, of course, in the picture there. I've got to get to him to get him to autograph 3 more of my books. I bought 4 this week.
The poet himself.
How about that? At the interview last night at our banquet, we do a little piece where I talk to the coach during the banquet up on the stage, and right at the end I just popped something on him. I said, I know you love poetry. Do you have any poem that you could just recite? He thought a second and then came out with just a beautiful, moving poem on aging.
You know, that was a Hallmark card poem that he just spontaneously, you know, that mind, I'd love to have just a fraction of that man. Amazing man.
68-67, Cal Golden Bears under 2 minutes. Ezra Williams has gone cold. He misses from the perimeter from Mueller with the rebound. And the Golden Bears a chance to build on their 1-point lead with 1:48.
But the Golden Bears have the momentum. It has been on their side for the last 4 or 5 minutes behind the play of Amit Tamir. It's been contagious. And the Golden Bears have the momentum. And they've also taken a a timeout. I believe it might be a 20.
Yep, it is a 68-67 Cal lead here. And with 1:36 to go, it's been interesting how the Cal Golden Bears have hung together. One of the things that Ben Braun said at the coaches news conference yesterday is, even though it's only 3 games into the season, he says he really likes the way his team has come together. They've led some games and almost given up the lead, but held together. They've been down, held together, and come back and won. And now they're under tremendous pressure here from the Georgia Bulldogs, and their poise has been good.
You know, this team is smart. You know, they have a senior in Joe Shipp. They have Weathers, who's a senior. They have a 22-year-old Amit Tamir, who's had a lot of experience. So they don't lose their calm that much, and that's something that Coach Braun conveyed to us that he likes. He doesn't have to spend a lot of time, you know, teaching that, and he can move on and progress with teaching some other things. So smart group of players he has.
1:32 to go. Going to Tamir, and who wouldn't? Chris Daniels with 4 fouls back in the game to guard Tamir. He did a pretty good job on him in the first half. Jarvis Hayes on Shipp, right up in his face. Shipp misses. That's a shot clock violation. Georgia ball down 1. Has Jarvis Hayes shown everyone, the Elgin Baylors and the Mitch Kupchaks and the James Worthies, that he can play defense?
I'll tell you what, he has exposed a weakness in Joe Shipp's game. Now, Joe Shipp is used to coming off of picks, getting open shots. He cannot create off the dribble like Weathers can, and Jarvis Hayes has exposed that this afternoon.
And then right back at him again, and this is going to be off Georgia. Cal ball leading by 1. Right back at him. That was Shipp in the face of Jarvis Hayes, forcing him to miss.
Now you got Mitch Kupchak from the Lakers and Elgin Baylor coming to see some offensive players score, and what they're finding is they're finding that these offensive players are pretty good defenders as well.
So the free throws will be taken by Amit Tamir, who has 27 points. He's 4 of 5 from the line. And Jonas Hayes picked up his 4th. A big miss there with under a minute to go in the game. Bulldogs down a point. Both teams in the bonus. And we have a timeout on the floor with 54.5 seconds remaining in the game. And Coach Worthy, I want to hear your analysis now. Georgia made 3, how about this, of their last 19 field goal attempts. Talk about defense. And Georgia's been forced into the perimeter. Remember early in the game, Georgia was pounding it inside, making some great interior passing, and great adjustment by Cal.
Well, out of the timeouts, Coach Braun has done a good job in instructing his team to collapse. They've done a little zone and matched up into some man-to-man. They've confused the Bulldogs in the second half. And meanwhile, the Golden Bears have found Amit Tamir to be the guy that's provided them, you know, their energy, and it's going to be about free throws, I think. If they can get to the line, whichever team can continue to stop on the defensive end and then get to the line, because it's a 1-point game with 50 seconds left to go.
For Georgia, all 5 starters shot 70% from the line last year. The free throw situation is difficult for the Golden Bears. And Wright gets it to Jonas Hayes. Back to Wright. 10 on the shot clock for Georgia. 35 seconds in the game.
Look at the swarming defense by the Golden Bears. They're switching. They're everywhere. Forcing a tough shot.
Jarvis Hayes! That's a 2! Mr. Clutch. He hit the big 3 to set up Georgia to get the buzzer beater to win on Colorado on Wednesday, and that was a tremendously big shot.
Under a lot of pressure, too, because the Golden Bears did an excellent job of switching, creating a tough shot.
We will be back to the pond in Anaheim. 23.9 seconds, a 1-point Georgia lead. Makes it 69-68 Georgia, and the officials are over at the scorers table right now talking to the official scorers. The scoreboard here at the pond says 68-67 Bulldogs, but unless I'm just crazy, this basket made it 69-68 Georgia. Now the scoreboard finally has it.
There's the shot. There's the score at the bottom left, and
And here it comes at 69-68 anyway. Everything's straight. Georgia up by 1. Well, that could be a major accounting error by the scorers. All right, Amit Tamir having 27 points. Chris Daniels with 4 fouls is on Tamir. Let's see if they try to feed him. Well, they get him on the perimeter. 20 seconds. From Muehlner. Not a threat. Brian Weathers is a threat. He goes up high. Tough shot. It doesn't go down, but a foul on the shot. And Weathers will go to the free throw line.
Well, they went to one of their bread and butter players in Brian Weathers after the passing around. And Williams, you hate to see a player foul a jump shot fading away when he comes down. Downward. The downward move is almost always going to get a foul called as Weathers knocks down the first of 2.
He's now 4 of 5 on the day. Coming into this game, though, Brian Weathers was shooting only 55% from the free throw line, but as Red Auerbach used to say, nothing matters except what he does at that moment. Tied at 69. Weathers doesn't get it. However, Tamir stripped away. It'll be Cal ball with 11.4 seconds. We could be looking at overtime unless Cal can score. Well, actually, let's not even go there because there's 11.4 seconds to go. And even if Cal scores, Georgia will have plenty of time.
A lot of time, but you talk about the fundamentals. We've been talking about fundamentals all day. And when you have the inside position on the free throw line, you should get the rebound. Didn't happen.
It is tied at 69. 11.4 seconds to go. Neither team has a foul to give. And Jim Herrick talking to the officials. He's certainly. What is he talking to? Do you think about that foul on the jump shot?
He's upset about something. Yeah, didn't really see him finish it, but he was trying to get to one of the referees over there.
His son, by the way, who's an assistant coach, corralled him, brought him back in so he could deal with what he needs to here in the business of the game. Tied at 69. The Georgia Bulldogs lost at the buzzer in Minnesota, won at the buzzer in Colorado, and now it's 69 all at 11.4 to go.
I think what Jim Herrick might be arguing is from his angle, he may have thought that Amit Tamir came over the back on that offensive rebound. If you get a look at Jim Herrick now, he's still over there complaining to the referees.
And there could have been a foul called on that Georgia strip of the ball too. Nevertheless, it was not a foul. It was out of bounds off Georgia, and it will be Cal ball. 11.4 to go in the game, tied at 69. Midgley in the game because he's a good shooter. Ship to Tamir. He can't handle it. Georgia ball. 5 seconds to go, and Jim Herrick calls another timeout and says it all on the face of Ben Braun.
You had to have a strong base. Amit Tamir got pushed off the block by Daniels just enough to create, that pass going out of bounds. You got to get really low and bend your legs to establish strong base position.
Well, Chris Daniels has made his reputation at Georgia. He's a junior on defense, and you just saw an example of it there. Okay, Coach Worthy, 69-69, 5 seconds. Chris Daniels inbounding for the Bulldogs.
Well, I don't think the Golden Bears want a foul. You got plenty of time to drive to the basket without any foul. I'd drive all the way in there and see what I could get.
Rashad Wright, air ball. Man, he missed it all. Herrick wanted a foul at the end. You're not going to get that call.
No.
And we are headed to free basketball. Overtime coming our way, and here's a look at Georgia's play on the last 5 seconds.
Well, see, he was trying to penetrate as far as he could, got it 14 feet. I'm nothing wrong with that shot with 1 second left and had time to get an offensive board. That's what you want to do. You want to get the shot up with enough time to get an offensive board. Didn't work out for the Dogs that time.
You saw in the paint, however, they were all white jerseys. Georgia had nobody going hard to that hoop. Tied at 69, 5 minutes of overtime coming up. Back at the pond in Anaheim, 69-69. We have overtime in game 1 of our 9th annual John Wooden Classic. Coming up after this one, about 15 minutes after it's over, we will have Southern Cal and Missouri. But now 5 minutes of overtime. Here's the last play by Georgia.
Well, Wright wanted to drive, but look at the wall. Look at Muehlner getting over and hand in the face, cutting down the lanes, creating a little jump shot that didn't work out for Georgia. No opportunity for the offensive board. So good defense by the Golden Bears in that 5-second exchange.
Yeah, from Muehlener's out of De La Salle High School, Walnut Creek in Northern California, up in the Bay Area. And his strength on this team is to defend the post. Tip goes to A.J. Diggs and the Cal Golden Bears. Again, the foul situation in terms of penalty continues for both teams, meaning they're in the bonus. The fouls just keep counting. In 5 minutes of overtime, each team will have one timeout.
I tell you, Bob, every time that Joe Shipp has received the basketball, Jarvis Hayes has been there like a blanket. And that's just, you know, telling from an offensive player, that's just difficult to play against, as Mr. Shipp does what we talked about, getting some intangibles as he gets the steal and the bucket. Both ways, Jarvis Hayes and Joe Shipp, and look how quickly Shipp was back on Jarvis even after going coast to coast for the slam dunk. Yeah, so the first points go to the Bears, 71-69. Yeah, I haven't given Joe Shipp his props for doing an excellent defensive job on Jarvis Hayes as well. Made that steal on the pass, just came right into that passing lane to grab it and go down and get the hoop. Now Georgia with 13 on their shot clock. Ezra Williams has been shut down too. I mean, now Joe Shipp switched to him. Hey, Jarvis has the mismatch. He has A.J. Diggs on him. Ezra Williams got it high and hit the three. 72-71 Georgia. See, Williams is he's what you call a stay-at-home guy. You stay at home on him. You never leave him open. He's an opportunity streaky shooter. If he gets going, he can really hurt you. Byron Scott comes to mind. Got that right. Amit Tamir drives and passes. It went off Georgia, so it will be Cal ball. And they'll have 13 seconds on the shot clock. Muehlener comes back into the game for Cal. Not a scorer, but a defensive presence. He wears number 40, who made such a big play at the end of the game for Cal to send it into overtime when Georgia had 5 seconds. 72-71 Bulldogs, 3:25 in overtime. Well, for Muehlener, he's a guy that's not afraid to mix it up. You know, he's not afraid to play. He'll get physical. He'll get some rebounds. He'll push. He'll shove, and that's what you need on the defensive end, a stopper. A.J. Diggs, the point guard, pulls up and tries the 18-footer, shoots an air ball. Not the shot Ben Bronner wanted. Bulldogs lead by a point with the ball. Look at that pressure. And Wright had to call timeout. DJ's primary game is defense also, and even after the air ball, look what he did. Well, DJ, you know, in practice yesterday, he was just so animated and upset every time he missed an assignment. This guy really is passionate about playing defense. You don't find that too often, passion on the defensive end. A.J. Diggs is a local product. He's from Long Beach. He was a walk-on this team. A.J.'s a junior. He walked on to Cal, now the starting point guard, and has just played beautifully. He has 5 steals on the season so far, and you pointed this out in the open. He tied the steals record of Jason Kidd at Cal when he had 8 versus Cleveland State this year. Well, we're going to take a timeout here while the teams are taking one. 72-71 Bulldogs. Back to the pond in Anaheim. 3:03 remaining in the overtime. Fred Couples, he's seen some clutch situations in his great PGA Tour career. What a swing. Oh, speaking of swing, the what they call the silly golf season going on after the PGA Tour regular season. They had a big Tiger Woods tournament out here, and Shipp comes away with a defensive play again, the double clutch. Did you see Rashad Wright come in to force him to change his shot? So the Bulldogs up by 1, now 2:40 to go. Diggs on Wright. That's just too quick of a shot by Shipp. I know he's anxious to lead his team, great offensive player, but overtime, 2:30, you got to get good shots. Look at this defense that's being played inside. Jarvis Hayes alone, and Williams finds him. Bulldogs 74-71. That's 15 for Jarvis Hayes, thanks to Ezra Williams. Quick shot by Shipp, and a gambling too much on defense allowed the Bulldogs to get inside the defense, something they haven't done a lot of in the second half. Trying to get it to Shipp on the post. Jarvis Hayes defending. He backed him down nicely. Hayes got a piece of it. It still goes in for Shipp, and now it's a 1-point Bulldogs lead. You see, that was good. He wasn't facing the basket. Back to the basket, one-on-one, was able to back his opponent down with Jarvis with a little nice jump hook. Here's Ezra Williams. Not this time. The ball was tipped loose by Daniels. Then Jonas Hayes missed the point-blank shot. Bears have an opportunity to take the lead. 1:40 to go in overtime.
Brian Weathers getting it off the curl into the paint. A lot of defense in front of it. That's going to be off. California, Georgia ball. I thought that was a good call.
It was a good call. Amit Tamir was there. Got a hand on it last.
What a game this has been, because we've seen it on both sides, James, the defense and the offense.
Well, you and I talked about at the beginning of the game how both teams were very similar. Great backdoor pass.
How about the cut as Jarvis Hayes goes down. He draws the foul with 1:18 to go.
Little Gino Vanelli, brother to brother there, if you can remember that one back in the 70s.
Weren't they the ones that faked the song or something? Was that them? No, that was Milli Vanilli or something.
No, this was, yeah, Millie, totally different. This was Gino Vanelli from the late 60s, early 70s.
Duh. Well, Hayes gets that to rattle in, and now it's a Bulldogs lead by 2 points. Jarvis Hayes has had to come up and do so much this year for his Bulldogs, and he only gets 1 out of 2. Remains a 2-point game.
Can you imagine being on stage singing and then your tape gets stuck? Vanilli. It gets really silly then.
1:05 to go in this game. That was a kicked ball. Cal will get a new 35-second clock with 1:05 to go. 75-73 Georgia. It has been all we expected. Well, Ulliner was inside with the pass, but Jonas Hayes was right on it.
And they've gone away from Tamir inside. They hadn't been able to get inside, although he makes a very valid move there before the pass to Weathers for the miss, and no call. But some contact, but no call.
Well, Jarvis Hayes was right in the middle of it again, as we have right with the ball. 43 seconds. Bulldogs by 2. Jarvis going to hold it out here. Now Rashad Wright. Midgley defending him. Time. There's foul on Midgley. That'll send Rashad to the free throw line. Rashad Wright has hit 10 of his 12 free throws coming into this game. First time to the line tonight. Georgia by 2. Chance to go to 4 with 34.7 to go here. Rashad Wright misses the first one. Wow, he's an 83% shooter. That's the tightness that you get to. It's one of the reasons Jim Herrick has his team play these close games early.
Yes, because free throws are vital. They win games, and regardless of what your percentage is, you have to hit it at the moment. And that's what White just did with the big pressure free throw.
Giving the Bulldogs a 3-point lead with 30 seconds remaining in this game. White defending against Richard Midgley. Now to Joe Shipp. Averaged 25 a game, but he's been held down in this one. Midgley to Tamir has been the scorer.
They got to drive. They got to drive to the hole. All this passing around the perimeter is not good. The inability to penetrate inside. See, that's not the shot we want.
Tamir misses. He had to just throw up the prayer. 8 seconds to go. Down to Jarvis Hayes. He puts the Sunday on the table.
Well, the defense by the Georgia Bulldogs the last minute was just exceptional.
And the Bulldogs come away with a 5-point win in overtime. Another buzzer beater. Ezra Williams gets our player of the game. He was the man who came up offensively, but you could also talk about Jonas and Jarvis Hayes and a lot of others on this Bulldog team. And of course, Amit Tamir had a great game for the Cal Golden Bears. He is our player of the game, and the play of the game is Jarvis Hayes, the Lexus play of the game, James.
Well, that was the big shot that put this game into overtime, and you and I were talking. We know Williams is a player of the game, but the defensive job that Jarvis Hayes had on Joe Shipp and then emerging offensively, he was our at-the-table MVP.
78-73 Georgia. Here in Anaheim, that's the final score. Now, those leaving around the country, you've been watching the 2002 Wooden Classic.
Do you love